music and destroyed a generation.
Damn.
So it says, hello. After more than 20 years, I finally decided to tell the world what I witnessed in 1991, which I believe was one of the biggest turning points in popular music and ultimately American society. I have struggled for a long time weighing the pros and cons of making my story public, as I was reluctant to implicate the individuals who were present that day. So I've simply decided to leave out the names and all the details that may risk my personal well-being and that of those who were, like me, dragged into something they weren't ready for.
Damn.
Hold on, let me
So we gonna tell a story.
We gonna tell the story. We ain't scared.
You know what I'm saying? What they gonna do?
They after us, not just playing.
Look, that black van.
So look, so he says, between the late 80s and early 90s, I was what you may call a decision maker with one of the more established companies in the music industry. I came to Europe in the early 80s and quickly established myself in the business. The industry was different back then, since technology and media weren't accessible to people like that, like they are today. The industry had more control over the public and had the means to influence them any way it wanted.
Right.
This may explain why in early 1991, I was invited to attend a closed-door meeting with a small group of business insiders to discuss rap music's new direction. Rap music's new direction.
Yeah.
Little did I know we would be asked to participate in one of the most unethical and destructive business practices ever seen.
Crazy.
So this was the meeting. The meeting was held at a private residence on the outskirts of Los Angeles. I remember about 25 to 30 people were being there.
Right.
Most of them familiar faces. Speaking of those I knew, we joked about the theme of the meeting, as many of us did not care for rap and failed to see the purpose of being invited to a private meeting to discuss the future of hip-hop.
Talk to him.
Among the attendees was a small group of unfamiliar faces who stayed to themselves and made no attempt to socialize beyond their circle. Based on their behavior and formal appearances, they didn't seem to be from our industry. Our casual chatter was interrupted when we were asked to sign the confidentiality agreement, preventing us from publicly discussing the information presented during the meeting. Needless to say, this intrigued, in some cases, disturbed many of us. The agreement was only a page long, but very clear on matters and consequences, which stated that violating the terms would result in job termination immediately. We asked several people what this meeting was about and the reason for such secrecy, but could not find anyone who had the answers for us. A few people refused to sign and walked out. Nobody stopped them. I was tempted to follow, but curiosity got the best of me.
That's right.
A man who was part of the unfamiliar group collected all the agreements from us. So now it's going to get to the good part because the meeting about to start.
Talk to him, G.
It says, quickly after the meeting began, hold on one second.
Get your popcorn, y'all.
Popcorn, get your pistols. No,
for real though.
Quickly after this meeting began, one of the industry colleagues, who shall remain nameless like everybody else, thanked us for attending. He then gave the floor to a man who only introduced himself by first name and gave no other details about his personal background. I think he was the owner of the residence, but that was never confirmed. He briefly praised all of us for the success we had achieved in our industries and congratulated us for being selected as part of this small group of decision makers. At this point, I began to feel slightly uncomfortable and the strangeness of this gathering. The subject quickly changed as the speaker went on to tell us that the respective companies we represented had invested in a very profitable industry, which could become even more rewarding with our active involvement.
Damn.
He explained that the companies we worked for had invested millions into the building of privately owned prisons, and that our positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments. Then he says, I remember many of us in the group immediately looking at each other in awe. and confusion. At the same time, I didn't know what a private prison was, but I wasn't the only one. Sure enough, someone asked what these prisons were and what any of this had to do with music. We were told that these prisons were built by privately owned companies who received funding from the government based on the number of inmates. The more inmates, the more the government would pay these prisons. It was also made clear to us that since these prisons are privately owned, as they become publicly traded, we'd be able to buy shares. Most of us were taken back by this. Again, a couple of people asked what this had to do with us. At this point, my industry colleague who had first opened the meeting took the floor again and answered our questions. He told us that since our employees had become silent investors in this prison business, it was now in their interest to make sure that these prisons remain filled. Our job would be to help make this happen by making music which promote criminal behavior, rap being the music of choice. He assured us that this would be a great situation for us because rap music was becoming an increasingly profitable market for our companies, and as employees, we'd also be able to buy stocks in these prisons. Immediately, silence came over the room. You could have heard a pin drop. I remember looking around to make sure I wasn't dreaming and saw half of the people with dropped jaws. My daze was interrupted when someone shouted, "Is this a fucking joke?" At this point, things became chaotic.
Right.
Two of the men who were part of the unfamiliar group grabbed the man who shouted and attempted to remove him from the house. A few of us, myself included, tried to intervene. One of them pulled out a gun, and we all backed off. They separated us from the crowd, and all four of us was escorted outside. My industry colleague who opened up the meeting earlier hurried out to meet us and reminded us that we had signed an agreement and would suffer the consequences of speaking out about this publicly, or even those who attended the meeting.
Damn.
I asked him why was he involved with something so corrupt, and he replied, "It's bigger than the music business and nothing we can do. No, it's bigger than the music business and nothing we'd want to challenge without risking consequences." We all protested as we walked back into the house. I remember word for word the last thing he said. "It's out of my hands now. Just remember you signed an agreement." He then closed the door behind him. The men rushed us to our car and actually waited until we drove off the property.
Damn.
So this meeting, bro.
Now that's a lot for a meeting right there.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, and this person later on, he said, you know, this person actually ended up leaving the music industry after this happened. A few years after this, he ended up leaving the music industry.
Okay.
And he'd say he just, like, you know, over the years he just felt guilty because he said as he sat back and he watched these plans come to a reality
Over 2 decades.
he sat back and was like, wow, they really pulled it off.
Yeah.
They really pulled this off. He was like, they were told not to sign any more political rappers, any more rappers that had messages in their music.
No positivity.
It was all to be gangster rap music that they promoted and put out.
So if you wonder where Brand Nubians went, where Pro Righteous Teachers went, where Public Enemy went, where KRS-One went, and all sorts of groups like that was talking, even Queen Latifah and Moni Love and those, you know,
everybody.
What I'm saying? It's a back door.
Yeah, anything that was harmless, fun rap, you know, anything that had a message in it had to go.
Yeah, that's why if you even notice though,
we talk about that all the time.
Even be brief with it, you know what I'm saying? Those charms that came out like maybe in 1988, 89, the African charms, those they lasted for about 2 years and they disappeared real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Now, after reading all this, you know, it actually made me feel a few different ways. The first emotion I felt was shocked because I was definitely taken back by this, just knowing the level of evil that's involved by even thinking of a plan like this. You know what I'm saying? The second emotion I felt was anger because it's not enough for them to exploit our culture and make all the money off of it. Because let's keep it real, the industry has never been favorable towards the artist. Never. But they're going to go beyond the artist to get the artist to influence and lure in the consumer, which they knew at the time were mainly minorities.
Yep.
In other words, keep promoting gangster rap so that the youngsters will be influenced by them, which in turn will incite them to want to act like them, and it's a very good chance they'll end up in their prison.
Yeah.
So they're getting paid twice. They're getting paid from the artists they signing, and then they're getting paid from the people that these artists influence that goes to prison trying to be like these artists.
Yeah.
So they making a killing.
A killing.
They're using the music business to promote their private prison business.
My man is right there talking that right. 1988, a man named Tom Beasley, man. That's the co-founder of the corrections for Corporation of America. That's the CCA. You know what I'm saying? Excuse my French. I'm reading this thing right there real quick. It's the CCA. So in 1988, he founded that, and this is in straight concert with the same thing. So it's like the music business. You do what you do on your side, and over here with the correction facilities, we're gonna do on this side, because in 1970 there was 500 prisons. You know what I'm saying? Only 500 prisons in the United States. To this day, there's 1,700 prisons right now. That means big business. I'm talking about that done flippled over. You know what I'm saying? If flippled over is a word. Because they're making a lot of money off of these things per inmate. You know what I'm saying? So getting with the same thing of the music, it all went hand in hand, and we just partying at the same time.
So us as the artists is the tool they use.
Yeah.
The music is the bait. Yep. And the young consumers are the prey. It's a cold game.
Cold game, bro.
Cold game. Then I felt sad. Sad because everything we seem to try to create, we always seem to give it away. We're always being tricked and deceived into believing that they have our best interests at hand, when clearly they never have, and they never will. They never will have our best interests at hand. It's blow after blow after blow after blow. Nick.
Hello and welcome back to HWLRADIO.COM. You here with your main man Hollywood. It's been a minute since I got on here and hollered at y'all, but this here was a situation where I had to get on the microphone, because I see a lot of people coming at Cardi B talking about this and talking about that, but it's a little more deeper and more serious than y'all think and know. Because I once was a rapper, and I told y'all a long time ago, if you don't remember the story, I was hollering at a Sony A&R, and he told me that, can I rap like 3 6 Mafia? I was doing positive rap because, you know, I was trying to enlighten my people, show them there's different ways than just all negative. There's some positive to the streets, to the world. And, you know, like, I notice, because I'm a person that notices the way that the whole world is moving. And I'm like, man, these people don't want to hear no positive music, because when I got mad at somebody and dissed them, they like, man, that's your hottest song. Like, make more songs like that. I'm like, no, that really ain't the aim that I'm doing with the music. Like, I'm trying to do something positive. So what I'm basically trying to get at is, you see in this video here that this is all a big business. The music industry is tied to the jail systems. For those that didn't get the message, like my son earlier, so I had to tell him, nigga, if I play something for you, you need to be listening to get the message. But because it wasn't Fortnite, because it wasn't PlayStation 5, or because it wasn't the NBA playoffs, just went right through your ears and out the other. You didn't care about it. You need to cut that out, man, because you ain't never gonna learn nothing, basically. I can't even remember what I told him, but it was a good line. And you know how when you say some good stuff and you don't write it down, when it comes time to recite it, you ain't got it. And I just don't got it. But, you know, back to what I was saying. What I'm trying to tell you is, when you seen this video, it should have opened up your eyes to, okay, So they paying this. See, you need to be mad at the people that is selling out your people. Now this is the real term of a sellout, because, and I can't say that they can't be a sellout right now, but this is the real term of a sellout. Like the people that was in that room, that's why KRS-One and Public Enemy and them came out with the phrase sellout in their lyrics, because they knew about this and why they wasn't invited to the meeting period in the first place. But it couldn't get out into the open world because it would have been hits and niggas been getting killed. But this is all one big business for you to idolize somebody and go out and do some stuff that they ain't never did in their life. They just knew how to put it in some lyrics and some words that sound real good. And you about to go out there and you about to go do the stuff. You're going to go to jail. The guy that's paying the rapper to do it, he's paying him a set wage. So he gets paid more off the more that the rapper does. And then he also gets paid off of you after you go to jail for doing what you thought that this rapper was telling you to do was the coolest thing and the hottest thing to do. It actually isn't. Some people have to live like this. Some people don't. Like there's some situations where I was like, man, like why am I even doing? I don't even have to do this stuff. Like I'm blessed. Like why am I even out here doing demon stuff and I'm blessed? Like it just doesn't make sense. It's like man, I don't like the good stuff. I don't like the good life that much. I want to just go here and mess my whole life up. So I'm going to just go here and join in with this. Like, nah, you got to be smarter than that. And that's what a lot of our people are doing out there. And I've been there and I done that. So that's why I'm enlightening y'all on how not to do that. But I say it Cardi B because I was talking to my daughter about Cardi B and everybody talking about the Offset and Cardi B, the divorce. Like, I really don't believe in divorce, but there's sometimes where, divorce is needed. And I'm not going to sit here and say Cardi B's bad person, but what I'm trying to tell her is that look at how they're using you. You might know about it and you might not know about it. But look at how they're using you to destroy the young ladies' minds that idolize and look up to you. Because we as a parent, we could tell our kids, it could be our job to be there for our kids. But you and I both know that if you idolize somebody or idolize something, you're going to go out and do it anyway. Like I remember I seen Wu-Tang Clan with gold teeth. I asked my mama, could she get me some? No, you ain't going to be having no gold teeth. Guess what I did? I went and got some gold teeth. And what did I do? I walk out the house and pop them in after I'm away from home. And before I get in the house, I take the teeth out and go in the house. So, there's all kind of ways around it. Don't act like, nigga, you was Paul in the Bible, nigga, because you wasn't. So all I'm saying basically is pay attention and don't let these people steer you wrong. And that's what they are doing. Like Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B. If you take time out and listen, they're not telling you nothing positive. Nothing that they're telling you is going to have you married for 30 plus years. Nothing that they telling you is going to have you financially making good moves. Because if you cross people out to get a bag, all of them bridges and networks that you would have had if you would have did it the right way with somebody that was right coaching you the right way and positive way, that all that stuff would be 360. See, all you doing is you going and that circle is just breaking off every time you go around. So when you at the end of the circle, nigga, you're by yourself because everybody you done played or done cutthroat to get to the top, they looking at you like, nah, nigga, no. Look, yeah, we could do a $30,000 deal together, man. I could take 10, you could have had 20, or it could have been the other way around. Hey, any money is good money, and you done messed that up. All because you listen to somebody that ain't living how that they telling you to live. That's the TV, that's the music, that's all of that stuff. So this basically is to the kids. So, I mean, like, adults, some of them you can get through to, some of them you can't. So that's all I gotta say about that, man. But for those that don't get it, like my son didn't get it when I played it for him, that's the breakdown. And that's gonna be the show for today, and I'm out.
One